Hi, Craig. Thanks for joining me on Tractor Founder Fuel Series today.
Thanks, Jodie. Great to be here.
Yeah, really excited to hear about you and Battleground and the story of how you've come to be here today.
Great. So Battleground came about 13 years ago when I left Deloitte. I was a partner there running their business continuity and resilience practice. Left in 2013 and started to consult myself in crisis management and business continuity. So what happens when things go wrong in a business? How does a company manage that, deal with that, come out stronger on the other end? And over time, me and my then business partner started to build some tools to help us do that work, online tools, which we called Battleground. 3 years ago, my co-founder sold out to an investor friend of mine who freed up equity for us to start to expand. So we went from a two and a bit person shop to we're now a roughly 15-person business here in Australia, the UK, and with partners in the US and Canada.
Wow.
And now it's all about two parts of the brain, as we like to say. We consult still in all things business continuity, crisis, and general risk and organizational risk, but we have this really awesome platform called Battleground Live, which is a full governance, risk, and compliance tool. So risk management, compliance, but the really cool stuff is the crisis management, incident management, exercising, and online exercises and simulations.
Yeah, right. Wow, that's crazy. So it was the two of you, then one of you decided to opt out, and then you were, okay, let's
Now
go.
we're Yeah. Well,
Wow.
what happened was I realized as a leader, I didn't know how to expand and grow. So I brought in an old friend of mine. We went to school together, who's a growth coach, a guy named Gavin Appel,
Oh, yeah.
who I'm sure you know.
Yes.
So Gavin and I went to school together. We
Right.
happened to reconnect by accident. He said, I hear you've done something with the business. I said, I hear you do growth coaching. Let's get together. And Gav, together with my new business partner, a guy named David Kishanevsky out of Israel, have really helped me to learn how to grow and
Wow.
how to expand.
Well,
They
haven't they?
have.
That's very obvious. Wow, that's great.
So,
Amazing.
no, it's been an amazing journey. And it also has taught me about investments, right? And how to think about getting debt versus equity versus shares and all that fun stuff.
Oh, wow. Gosh, it's like we just had a little pre-brief before we started this interview. That's exactly what I want to ask you next. How do you think about it now? It's really
Well,
interesting.
what's interesting is we were bootstrapped and we've always been bootstrapped. And David and my vision was let's just stay bootstrapped. But we realized that the consulting business, which is a very profitable part of the business, can only subsidize growth to a certain extent. And if you want to play in the product space and in the tech product space specifically, you have to work fast. So there's only so much cash and you can play with. And then we wanted to expand overseas because the Australian market relative is pretty small for
Yes.
for GRC.
Yeah.
So we started looking at, do we sell? Do we dilute equity? Do we offer equity to others? Do we sell shares? How do we do it? And Gav actually recommended talking to Tractor and say, you and David don't want to give up control. It's a pretty young business still. There's
Mm.
no need to do that. The banks would only give us a certain amount of overdraft. And so what else can we do? And he said, speak to Tractor about it. And it was very easy and not daunting, which was my fear.
Yeah.
And it just makes sense,
Yeah.
right? Because
Yeah.
we know we've got a good business and so, but we need some funding now to help us
Yes.
get to that next growth phase.
Great. Well, thanks, Gav. That's awesome. I'd love to just dig into, you assumed it would be daunting. Tell me more about that.
Well, I'm not from a finance background. In fact, I studied business and IT and I majored in marketing and management. And so I had no idea about what it meant, right? And you hear horror stories about taking on debt and you had to open the kimono fully and they came and take over your business. And I was like, I don't have the time or the headspace for that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it wasn't like that. And
Mm.
also with automated tools, like we're a zero
Yeah.
shop, right? It just means that it's a seamless
Yes.
process, which as a founder with limited time, that is really, really
Yeah,
helpful.
absolutely. I mean, that is why we've built what we've built to be able to move
Yeah.
quickly. And banks and other funders can be very slow and drawn out. And so, definitely, I think the speed and great to hear that you had a good experience.
No, and just the speed, I'm sure everyone says this, but from Gavin introducing to getting the funds was 4 days.
Great, great.
So no, it was so easy. It was great.
Yeah, yeah, fabulous. Well, thank you. Thanks for that. I want to move on now to one of my favorite topics, which is around leadership and management,
Mm,
because I think that we're always all learning, and you've got 15 people in your team now, so it's a big,
yeah.
sure, it's a lot of the time you spend is on management and showing leadership. So, what are your go-tos?
My God, well, I have one story that fired me up many years ago, which I keep coming back to get to keep the fire going. When I was at Deloitte, I got a end of year rating from a partner at the time. I think I was a manager, and it was that my people management was really poor, and my management style was terrible. And at the end of year party, they had crowdsourced awards, right? Who's the best manager? Who's the best leader? The whole team voted, and I won every award. And I was like, so the partners think I don't know what I'm doing, but the team loves my style,
Yeah.
right? So I keep coming back to that. I'm a people person. Whenever I do like personality tests, I'm always red, emotional, and about letting people be themselves. My leadership style and the way that I like to think I get the best out of people is let them be them, play to their strengths, empower people to do their jobs, but make sure they understand what the vision is, what the strategy is, bring them along on that journey and lead and challenge them on their thinking. But at the end of the day, another saying I have is if no one's going to die, give it a go, which I learned from a very old friend of mine who was the CEO of Vanguard at the time, a guy named Ian Alcock. And he said that to me in a meeting one day. And it stuck with me because sometimes you're like hell bent on an idea in the business and you realize the team doesn't want to do that. And you go, well, if no one's going to die, give it a
There we
go.
go. I love that. If no one's going to die, give it a go. I think that's right. And I often, it comes back to what I found really works for me is this idea of just experimenting. Like, I think a lot of
Yes,
people will get fearful of change or doing something different. And what if it fails and all that stuff? But if it's just an
it's
experiment,
okay.
it's fine. Doesn't matter. Just try a small example of what you want to test. And then you'll, like,
Exactly.
yeah, it's not going to be a catastrophe if it doesn't work.
Exactly. And I think that's really important because when you're growing a business and you're founding a business where you've got two parts of the business, you have to try new things. You have to be on the forefront because the big four are always innovating. We compete against them. The boutique firms are always innovating. So you've got to be one step in front. But
Mm,
it also comes down to relationships. I
mm,
think a lot of business and a lot of, especially in the consulting world,
mm. Yep.
relationships are important
Yeah.
internally. So with the staff, the team, the confidence that gives them, but also outwardly as well. The leadership you show outwardly through relationships is really important.
Yeah, 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 for sure. Is it just that you're demonstrating you have strong relationships? Is that what you mean?
No, I think it's more that you have to be confident in what you do and demonstrate to clients, potential clients, contacts that you know what you're talking about, that
Mm,
you've got their back and
mm,
you're there for them, and that you're responsive. So if they
yeah,
call, you pick up the phone,
yeah,
that you care, that you
yes.
ask about how their holidays were,
Mm,
that it's not just a transaction
yeah,
as
yeah.
a leader and a CEO and a founder, I can't be there just for the transaction.
Oh,
I've got to be
that's
thinking
right.
longer term. And
Yes.
same with the staff, right? It's not
Yeah.
just a boss staff. And this is where it gets hard as you grow, is spending enough time in the
Mm.
business, on the business, with the business, finding that
Right.
internally and externally. But
Yeah.
yeah, being there for the clients, showing you care, being a part of it is really
Yes.
important.
Yeah, no, it's leading by example, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, 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 great. Well, it sounds like you've probably built a very strong culture with that attitude.
I think so. I
Yeah.
think so. I probably have to ask my team. But yeah, well, I'm very proud of the culture and the brand, and the brand and the culture go hand in hand.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I think I hope people like to work at Battleground because it's fun. For example, like, we don't do timesheets, which is crazy for a consulting firm because I
Yeah,
trust them,
yeah,
right?
great.
We know we have to get the work done.
Yeah,
Guys, if you want to start late, finish early, take some time off here and there, I don't need to know. Just get the work done. Have
yeah,
fun. Be
great.
relaxed. Work from home. Work-life balance is really important because if you
Yeah.
enjoy what you do,
You
you
do
will work
more.
hard.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's good.
exactly.
Yeah, I've been talking a lot about this 4-day work week that we do, and
Yes, fascinating.
you and I have very similar views on this, and so I just think like, and I actually find I think my people work more on Fridays than probably a lot of people generally.
Yes, yes.
Because it's not an obligation. Like I'm saying, don't work, and they're like, oh no, but I just want to get these things done.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Well, I must say my wife has to remind me that not everyone lives and breathes their job and they don't respond to you 24 hours a day, Craig. Uh, but you find that people do respond, like our staff are working different hours
Yeah,
and so they will respond at night because it's just why not? Like
get
it's a
it done.
friendly,
Yeah,
chilled environment.
yeah,
There's no spanking you for
yeah.
doing this or whacking you for doing that, like collaboratively.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, perfect. I 100% subscribe to that. So, but you've said it very well, and I hope a lot of our listeners will take it on board because I think it's a great style.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Craig. Really great to hear your story, and thanks for joining us.
Anytime.